Hi, I'm Christine Benz from Morningstar.com. Many investors have traditional IRA assets that they'd like to convert to Roth. Joining me to share some tips on the IRA conversion decision is retirement expert and author Ed Slott. Ed, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here live in Chicago.
We really appreciate it. It's great to have you here in the studio. Let's talk about IRA conversions. There are a lot of moving parts here. This is a very complicated decision that a lot of investors are confronted with, whether to take those traditional IRA assets that they've been building up, convert them to Roth and enjoy those tax-free withdrawals in retirement. Let's talk about, for people who are trying to make a good decision here, are there any resources that you would send people to, or where should they go for advice? Should they naturally seek out a tax advisor for help on this front?
You could seek out a tax advisor, your own financial advisor, but I would first ask yourself three questions.
Okay.
When, what, and where? We're talking about paying a tax for moving IRA money to a Roth IRA. But the good part is it's at today's rates, which are at an all-time low. We haven't seen rates this low
so
most of our lives.
So income tax rates that you pay on the conversion are pretty low. Okay.
So when? The first question was when. I ask people these three questions all the time. When do you think you'll need the money? If somebody tells me, well, I might need it in 5 years, don't convert. The benefit of paying a tax now is the long-term compounding tax-free. It's the longevity. The longer you keep it in that tax-free account, the more it will grow uneroded by taxes. But it certainly doesn't pay for most people to pay a tax now just to take out the money in a few years. So if people tell me, well, I might need it in a few years, I would say you're probably better not converting and giving up all that money up front. But if they say, I intend to keep it the rest of my life, remember, Roth IRAs have no required minimum distributions. That can really snowball and carry over to beneficiaries tax-free. So the longer you plan on going out or not touching it, the more it pays to do a Roth conversion. That's my first question. When?
Is there a minimum amount of time that I'd want to have in terms of my time horizon?
I would, if people are saying I need it in 5 or even 10 years, I would say it's too short.
Okay.
You got to go longer because it didn't get time to snowball.
Right.
And all of that growth is tax-free. You'd hate to stunt it, cut it off right after you got finished paying the taxes. It's not worth it.
Okay, look at your time horizon. Then the next question
is what? What do you think your future tax bracket will be? That's really the biggest question. But the problem with that question is nobody knows.
Absolutely.
But yet a lot of people tell me, and accountants, other advisors say, oh, I'm sure retired people all think they're going to be in a lower bracket in retirement. But if taxes go up, the lower bracket could be tomorrow's low bracket, could be today's high bracket. So you don't really know. Plus, at some point, if you don't convert, you're forced to take that IRA money out anyway at 70.5 at the prevailing rate. If future rates go up to 40 or 50%, that may be that would be a higher rate, but it's a double hit because if your IRA has done well, it's a higher rate on a higher balance. So it might pay to bite the bullet now. If you think you'll be in a higher bracket later, it would pay to do it now. It means you have to part with some money. There's an opportunity cost, but look at the long-term big picture. It's all building tax-free. And you won't have to worry about the uncertainty of what future higher taxes could do to your retirement savings just when you need the money most in retirement. That's not the time you want to wonder, how much is this going to cost me now? And like I said, if you don't convert, you're forced to take it out at 70.5. So that's what? What do you think your future tax bracket will be?
Okay. And the final question, where?
Yeah, where are you going to get the money from to pay the tax? If you don't have the money to pay the tax, you shouldn't be converting. You don't want to go broke converting. It's not for everybody, but if you have money sitting in taxable investments that are just going to be exposed to current and future higher taxes on your investment gains, that's the money to use. Also, you don't want to use the IRA money itself.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Because it's a diminishing return. You're converting less. Also, there's a trap. If you use the IRA money to convert, You're not converting everything. And one of the big benefits of a Roth conversion is the ability to get a second chance to undo it. It's called a Roth recharacterization. Once you convert, let's say you convert in 2015, you have until October 15th, 2016 to unwind that, to undo it for any reason at all. But you can only undo or recharacterize the amounts that were converted. So you lose the opportunity to recharacterize all of it if not all of it was converted. So it's best not to use IRA money. Also, it's best to use taxable money. If you don't have the money, where are you going to get the money from? Then don't convert.
So don't raid some other 401k or IRA?
No. If you don't have it, don't do it. Or what I tell some people, they said, but I still like the idea of having something in a Roth to hedge my bets, having that tax-free account. Do a little over time. The best strategy, really, I say, I know it sounds outrageous to most accountants. I tell people, convert everything. And they're shocked. Well, I have $500,000 in there. I can't convert.
Big tax bill.
No. I say convert everything. Then, remember, you have until October 15th of the next year to undo it all. Make the whole tax bill go away if you want. But by that time, you know exactly all the other items in your tax return. So you can go back and unconvert or recharacterize right back to the number you actually want to keep, say filling up lower tax brackets, and then make it exactly the number you want. So you can go it from the back end. I call it getting a bet on a horse after the race is over.
So as long as you mind those deadlines for recharacterization, it won't be taxable to you to undo them.
In other words, the key is not how much you convert, it's how much you recharacterize, or in other words, how much of the conversion you actually keep.
So are there any situations where you look at someone, they're asking you about conversion, and you say, yes, absolutely?
Yes.
What are the situations where you say, green light, do this, do this, do this?
Young people.
Okay.
The greatest money-making asset any individual can possess is time. And young people have more of it than anyone else, but they don't capitalize on it. So, of course, young people starting a job should be contributing if they can to a Roth, should be converting. They probably don't have a big 401k so far, or they're in a low tax bracket. This is the opportunity of a lifetime to start building tax-free. I wish I had that opportunity. I had to pay a fortune to convert back in 2010 when they opened the floodgates and they repealed the income limits. But young people have unbelievable opportunity now. So if there's one absolute for a Roth conversion, young people should all be converting and contributing to Roth IRAs, and at work, if they have the option, should be contributing to Roth 401ks as opposed to 401ks.
So take advantage of that relatively low tax bracket plus the long time horizon. How about the opposite? We talked about how if your time horizon is too condensed, the conversion may not add up. Are there any other situations? Sometimes I hear from people who say, am I too old to convert?
Well, it depends what you're converting for. I would say if you're 70 or over and you're converting for yourself,
to take out money during your lifetime?
Yeah, it probably doesn't pay. Because the cost you pay up front, given your life expectancy, is probably not worth it. For example, my mother's in her 80s, and she saw my show on public television. She called up and said, she's 88. She said, Eddie, should I do that convert? I said, Ma, what do you know? It's not for you. Don't do it.
Right.
You know, first of all, she has other things. She has income. She doesn't need it. So it's not for everybody. I just thought that was funny that she called up and said, but if you are older and you're doing it for your beneficiaries, you have to look at the time horizon. If you're doing it for just your time horizon, it probably doesn't pay. But if you're doing it for your beneficiaries' time horizon, that could add another 50, 60, 70 years of tax-free growth after your death, then it might pay.
Okay. How about pitfalls that you see related to conversions? Obviously, keeping an eye on what the tax bill will be associated with this conversion, minding time horizon, minding whether you have external assets to use to pay the taxes. Are there any other big pitfalls that you see people fall into?
Well, one is when you convert, obviously, you're opening a new account, so you want to make sure you name your beneficiaries on this new Roth IRA. A lot of people miss that. Also, making sure you have your ducks lined up that you do have the money, but even if you don't, like I said, convert everything. You could always undo it later, but you've got to keep track of that deadline. That's a hard deadline. It's a long time, so sometimes people forget.
Right.
It's October 15th of the year after you convert, so don't let that slip by because you could always undo it. And then some of the mistakes people make, they don't keep track of after-tax money that's in their IRA. You should look at that. You should be filing a form called an 8606. So let's say you have $100,000 and you want to convert it, and $10,000 of it is after tax. You should only be paying tax on $90,000. If you're not keeping track of your after-tax money in your IRA, that came from non-deductible contributions or roll-ins from a plan of after-tax money, then you're paying tax twice on the same money. So you should be careful about that.
Okay, Ed, super complicated topic. You make it seem very, very clear. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching. I'm Christine Benz for Morningstar.com.